The Yellow Brick Road. This video does not reflect the actual views of real people. These are actors playing a role to entertain audiences. No persons or animals were harmed in the making of this video. Gosh, I love YouTube and I love Google.
Alright, so Sam Harris was on the Joe Rogan Podcast yesterday, and he started talking about the whole Charles Murray situation and Ezra Klein. And we're going to listen to it again and then add our 2 cents because we have nothing better to do. And go.
I pick up my phone and I see that Reza Aslan and Glenn Greenwald and Ezra Klein had all attacked me in the space of an hour.
Oh,
right?
no.
It's just like, now it's just
Attacked.
millions
I was about
of
to
people.
say.
It's over there. He was off Joe.
Yeah, guys that do that on their videos.
What's that? Opposing of arguments?
Attack. Sam Harris destroys Jordan Peterson.
No, it's Sam Harris smacks down Jordan Peterson. Epic fire debate. Sam Harris bitch slaps whiny Bill Maher in epic fueled battle.
And then these guys use the same language. And I'm brutally attacked with words on Twitter.
I was jumped with words. Attacked.
It's a long paragraph too.
It was guerrilla warfare. It was guerrilla warfare. All I said was that blacks are inferior, and I was ambushed.
You should have seen the look on his emoji. He was furious.
I could read the parables in between. So. What? Like, what are you saying, man? I'm not quoting him. It says, it's like, I was attacked. It's like, calm down, dude. So he said he looked at his phone. He looked at his phone. I was attacked. He might be just using that term. Yeah.
I wonder how many people will cut the video off at this point. Right?
Probably right now. It's like, you two are idiots. Sam Harris is a genius. Good.
Different opinions.
Good. Now why? No response.
Science isn't the basis of understanding in the universe? How dare you?
In a way, it's like something of an egotistical thing. It's something that we created.
You must be religious. No, man, no. Well,
No.
You're wrong. Bye.
Nah, B, you're wrong.
Sad face emoji.
Your mom said.
Alright.
I was asking about the Charles Murray thing.
Yeah, well, truth is, I can't even see what... I didn't look at what Greenwald had done. He was...
Glenn Greenwald believes Bashar al-Assad gassed his own people.
I don't think he did.
circulating somebody's video about me, how I think I'm a racist in that video. Reza Aslan blocks me, so I can't even see what... If he attacks me by name, but he blocks me, so I can't even see what his export...
You're fine,
So I just saw the aftermath of that. Lots of stuff, lots of notifications coming to me with both of us tagged. And then Ezra published this... I suppose I should back up
hit piece?
however painfully to describe what happened here. But so I had Charles Murray on my podcast a year ago, and Charles Murray is this social scientist who...
Political scientist.
Published The Bell Curve back in the 90s, which was a book about IQ and success in Western societies like our own. And it's a book where he worries a lot about the cognitive stratification of society. We have a society that's selecting more and more for a narrow band of talents that are fairly well captured by what we call IQ. And it's a kind of a winner-take-all situation where people are really, 500 years ago, if you had a a very high IQ and you're just pushing a plow next to your neighbor, you had no real advantage. But now you can start a hedge fund or you can start a software company, and we're seeing
A hedge
this
fund.
real shocking disparity in good fortune, really.
A hedge fund.
I don't even know what to say here.
Listen, now you can be like Bill Gates and you can be rich while the people are dirt poor.
I'd really like to see what would happen if all the social gatekeepers blocking out certain things. What would happen then if those were done away with? And I believe there's a guy named Milton Freeman, or something like that. And I believe they dictate like education, the things you take in school, the curriculum, the textbooks, all of it
Patterns.
is meant to uniform a certain way of thinking, so that these type of people that think this way jump up the ladder, or people that maybe didn't think that way rearrange their mind to think that way and jump up the social ladder.
Possibly.
But I don't know. And also, I don't know if that name's correct. Milton Freeman, something like that. Chicago school.
It's a person.
Some guy. Alright.
He wrote this book. It had a chapter on race, which talked about the disparities in racial groups.
And statistically observed disparities.
Right.
Yeah.
And the claim about the source of those disparities was by even the standards of the time, but certainly the standards of today, incredibly tepid, mealy-mouthed, just hand-waving. It was not this, here comes the Third Reich declaration of white supremacy. It was...
to inspire that. To inspire.
According to Ezra Klein, because I listened to their little interview, Sam Harris and Ezra Klein's interview. Ezra Klein is claiming that Charles Murray wanted to sort of get rid of certain social programs because of his study with genetics and intelligence, like welfare and shit like that. Like, we're wasting money, which implies that...
So let's kill off these people.
Which implies that we're wasting money because these guys won't get any smarter, in a way.
You know what that reminds me of?
The Third Reich.
That and
Nah.
a movement that was most likely their name has been changed. Eugenics.
Yeah.
What's that to these people? No, we should just kill them. They're a waste.
Yeah, and Charles Murray I don't know about, but Sam Harris I honestly don't think he's racist in any way.
No, me either.
I think he's doing a intellectual way of clickbait in the way he's drawing in the social justice warriors who are like, you're racist, and then he can just sit there and pick them apart with arguments, simple arguments.
Well, like you said,
Which is why I call those things baby steps.
Sure. It's like, don't both of them operate with statistics? So it's like, how can those social justice warriors?
Well, yeah.
How can they ever like be able to
Yeah.
Because they'll probably throw out statistics that they can't refute. It's like, well, fuck, man, you're right. It's like, no.
They'll try to prove them wrong with the same tools that
within the
their
same
adversary is using.
They're in the sandbox. They're playing, having fun.
Alright.
Undoubtedly, there are environmental and genetic reasons for this, and we don't understand them.
I'd say there's more than that. Just environmental, and unless you say there's no self, period. If there's no self,
you said that, didn't you? No, there is no self.
Something to that degree.
You found nothing.
There's nothing in the brain that indicates the self is there. But okay, saying that breaks down to just environment and genetics. Completely disregards the self, which, alright, you can't say, or you can end up just blanketing the term environment when you don't take into account the self or something metaphysical like that. Because then you're just saying, oh, well, it's the brain. There's no self, so it's the brain, which leads to genetics. Everything else is just content coming in. That's all you are, is your body and the world throwing content your way. And it's
Creepy.
like, yeah, that's wrong.
Very.
If you'd like me to prove that, debate me. I fucking dare you. I triple dog dare you.
Why are you looking away? Look at them. Say it.
I fucking dare you. And I don't mean Sam Harris. I mean, well, him too, but anybody. Period. Alright.
That's all I gotta say about that.
And that's all I got to say about that.
You gotta do this.
Alright.
Green screen falls down. Just stand up. All you see, like, you don't see your face. You just see your mic. Walk out.
It was just like to just think that it's one or the other. We're not in a position to know what the mix is of influences now, and that is virtually any honest scientist's take on the matter.
When he's saying mix of influences, he's only saying two things: environment and genetics.
And certainly today, I mean, it's only become more so. But that went off like a nuclear bomb. I mean, that was such a. I mean, it's the most. And at the time, I never read the book. I just thought this had to be just racist.
Of course,
poison.
Charles Murray would be vilified for that observation.
And he's been vilified ever since. And ever since, I've ignored him.
Wasn't he deplatformed and assaulted recently?
Yeah, so that's what happened. So he went to Middlebury to give a talk, 20 some odd years, 25 years after he wrote this book.
Oh, by the way, he's also listed by the Southern Poverty Law Centre. And so that's what contributed to the deplatforming and the violent protest against him at Middlebury.
What's crazy is the whole...
That's... Alright, I'm just gonna let that go. It's nitpicky. Nitpicky.
Say it.
Always saying that
Do it. Say it.
this external event caused this internal reaction of, we have to beat him up now because he's on the Southern Poverty Law Center webpage. He's front and center there.
We have to beat him up now.
It's like, no, you can just... everybody...
Hey, Bill, did you bring the pitchforks? Yes.
Once again, excluding the self and going strictly off ego manifestations. This happens so people react this way. It's in this equation over here. Don't you see that?
Did you guys, did we not create these equations? Get him out. Leave. Get out. Get out. Get out.
Fuck. What was Harris saying? Let me go back a bit.
He was saying that's all he has to say about that.
Look, I just thought this had to be just racist.
And of course,
poison.
Charles Murray would be vilified for that observation.
And he's been vilified ever since, and ever since, I've ignored him.
Wasn't he deplatformed and assaulted recently?
Yeah, so that's what happened.
Yeah.
So he went
I was
to
going to
Middlebury.
say, people that physically assault someone for their ideas is dumb as fuck.
Yes.
They're morally
Weak.
babies, maybe even fetuses. So,
Their pillars to their grand mansion are very weak.
Yeah.
I go like, all it falls down.
like, I know you're wrong, but I don't have an argument in words. I just know it.
What's that? You're wrong, I'll tell you why. 5 minutes later, there's a corner. You haven't made a good argument now. It's time to finish this. So this is why you're wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, like,
fuck.
if you're like a 6'8" black dude, you should run up on like Richard Spencer, like, hey, you, get over here.
Richard Spencer.
Run up to him and just be like, man, I really like to debate you, man. Nice to meet you, though.
No, it's this. It goes like, I love your work. I want to debate you.
He's like, here's my card.
No, it's... Listen, man.
You can contact me here.
No, it's...
Email.
Listen, man. See, I'm trying to hide my phone because apparently a lot of guys who are like me have their phones out. Doesn't end well. Put your digits in here so we can debate later. Spencer's like, he's like, no, before that guy already blinked.
He turns whiter.
No, he turns Casper.
No Kramer.
Turns Casper. He's already on the other side of the street. Already. See him midair leaping like he leaped over like an SUV on the way.
Free my mind. This black guy will disappear.
He's like
I know. I'm just thinking of the Facebook guy, or is it someone else?
I think it's Zuck.
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 Yeah.
That. Ugh. Insert soul here.
Let's keep it moving.
Or to give a talk,
not doing
20 some odd years,
You
25
acknowledge
years
it.
after he wrote this book.
Oh, by the
Yeah.
way, he's also listed by the Southern Poverty Law Centre. So that's what contributed to the deplatforming and the violent protest against him at Middlebury.
What's crazy is
That
the whole
contributed,
thing
yes.
is a propaganda for the superiority of the Asian race, and everyone's missing that.
That's the flip side of it.
Yeah, they're all talking about white supremacy. It says the Asians are actually the ones who...
far and above.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what his book proved. And, they're suing him.
Didn't prove shit.
Proved.
Didn't prove that. No.
Did they measure all their motivations? Yeah.
Yes, as far as a.
I'm scared of my dad.
Listen, Bill. You can go outside and play. You will study. You will love it, and you will play the piano.
See,
No cream.
they blanket that term into environment, but there is no this happens so this happens thing with people. We're people, man.
It's not domino effect.
Just,
No.
just like the guys threatening Charles Murray, right?
Yeah.
You can't just say,
It's like this.
oh, the Southern Poverty Law put out a website memo thing, and then these people automatically react that way.
No.
That's not it.
It's like they had no choice. It just happens that way. If you're in this area at this time, you do that, and that will happen. Like, no, asshole. No.
Yeah.
It's
Best-
people's already silly decisions to make these like abrasive actions happen. It's
And
like let's form a mob and attack.
your best answer there is probability, which isn't 100%,
No.
which is subject to change.
Harvard now. There's a group of Asian students that are suing Harvard because they're discriminated against, because they're required to have higher scores, because they're assumed to be smarter. So the standards for Asian students entering into Harvard is higher than white people.
Wow.
Yes, well, Asian privilege is a big problem.
Yeah.
Your grandfather was working on the railroads in California as an indentured servant, and all that privilege trickled down.
There's obviously a lot of factors that lead to IQ, to high IQ, but to ignore what those are, to ignore it completely, to just
In the
bury your head
name
the
of
sand.
ideology. of
Yes,
course.
exactly.
Yeah.
Only ideology. And this.
It,
Wait, what?
I'll rewind, but he's talking about it's like there's so many factors, like, and Sam Harris and Charles Murray have only been like naming environment and genetics, and I wonder if Rogan correlates that, but he might just think that
I haven't heard him be very critical of any of this.
he might just think that someone making a decision or whatever is really just brain phenomenon, thus genetics, thus is predetermined by your genetics.
No. Like, if you really,
I'm saying that's a possibility.
Well, yeah, but
that's why it could be
like
lockstep.
if you get down to like the real point of it all, it's like that's really messed up.
Well, to me, it's just nonsense.
Messed up.
But then again, I'd have to, I don't know, go to Harvard, learn all their bullshit, then be like, I'm a Harvard professor. Oh, he must be saying something.
Maybe I could go to that one class where they talk about.
You have to go here to learn.
What's it called? What's that one class?
What?
Listen, everybody. There's a train track. This is the moral side of murder.
Oh, it's philosophy.
That's it. They got that down real good.
Actually, the further you get in with the lectures, I'm like, oh, this is pretty good. But
I'm not liking that train track bullshit.
But I think they're harping on. They would harp more on moral intelligence, the way that those courses look like they were going,
That scared the shit out of me.
Rather than what we're talking about here, which is what is the source of the moral intelligence? Is it purely just your brain?
It's under here, under the ear.
Is it the little guy in your brain saying, "That's right, that's wrong"?
Exactly. It's a brain phenomenon. Basically, what happens is the left side of your brain. It's in there somewhere. We know that.
Yeah.
It's in your brain.
And it's a pretty interesting trend.
Jab.
And with Rogan, it's a pretty interesting trend because he's had a Rupert Sheldrake on once. He's had a Mick Goswami on once. I'm sure he's had Sam Harris several times. God Sad, I don't know how to say his name, several times. The skeptic guy, I forgot his name. So he's had these guys multiple times, and obviously more recently. Rupert Sheldrake was years ago, and Mick Goswami was years ago. Guys that say something completely different, which I would think is important to anyone. If he says the mind is not, like a Mick Goswami saying the mind is non-local.
Imagine if he just has them both on at the same time.
Sheldrake and Goswami? Oh no,
Harris.
Harris and well, Goswami would. He's smarter than Sam Harris by probably all three of these guys' standards, and Mick Goswami is smarter than all three of them academically. He's like a fucking quantum physicist. And he says he can prove non-local. The mind is non-local, meaning it's not just in your brain somewhere, brain phenomenon. It's actually to some degree separate from the brain.
I would love.
Go check that podcast out.
I'd love to see that, both of them.
Also, go check out Rupert Sheldrake's TED Talk. That should be on YouTube. You won't find it on the TED website.
They took it down.
They could have put it back, but I don't know. I'm sure it's still not up.
Allegedly, it was banned, right?
Yeah.
Damn.
It's named the band TED Talk on YouTube when you're searching in. Alright, let's keep moving.
That lead to IQ, to high IQ, but to ignore what those are, to ignore it completely, to just
in the name of ideology.
Yes, exactly. Only ideology, and this idea that you cannot look at statistics, you cannot look at facts, and in your conversation with Ezra Charles, that's what
he put statistics and facts, like statistics and facts. I'm afraid. I'm not saying he said this, but I'm afraid he thinks they're the same thing. Statistics are basically probabilities.
They are probabilities.
It's like I bat 300. That's a statistic. It's
Yeah.
a probability too, as far as he averages a 300 batting average every year. And out of 10 attempts, he's successful 3 times. Whatever the fuck,
Yeah, and to be, I believe in scientific terms, it would be a trend when you have multiple points on a graph.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's say they're every year he plays 20 years in the major leagues.
Mm-hmm.
Every year he hits exactly 300.
Yeah.
300.000.
Yeah.
No, it's .3000.
Well, yeah. I'm talking about like averaging it out.
On forever and ever.
So let's say 1 year, this ain't accurate whatsoever, but it's like 275 and 290, then it just starts climbing, then it averages everything out. It averages, the career batting average is 300, but he averaged this number, or whatever.
I was going somewhere else. I was saying he bats exactly 300 all 20 seasons.
Absolutely, yeah.
All 20 seasons he bats 300.
Same at bats.
No matter what study you do with him, no matter what statistical analysis you do, the next year it is not guaranteed he hits 300.
Absolutely not. No.
Not by the outside world.
Exactly.
The outside world can't say he's going to hit 300.
Yeah.
Only his self would understand that. Once again, if you want explanation of the self, I dare you to debate me. I looked in the camera.
Someone wants an explanation. I don't think they'd have to debate you if they disagree with it at all.
No, they want an explanation. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd have to be individual.
That can't be a debate.
Yeah, it could be.
No, it's not. It's like, you're the teacher.
If you don't...
Ready? You're the professor. What is the self? Debate me.
Yeah.
How?
Because if they're asking what is
your
if
way,
they're asking what the self is, that's
let me just ask you this:
don't know.
is your way okay? Fair enough. I know you're going with this. Roll down those sleeves. I already know.
Alright. And also, people can. Your way works too, as in they could just call it a different word. I call it blah blah blah. Blah. Like, oh, okay. We're just using different words for the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah, your way.
My way or the
thumb pointed side. Like, yeah, your way works too, I guess. Yeah. The undesirable.
Rather, that's what I got, is that this is an ideological issue, and that you it's almost like an impossible subject to breach. Like, you can't even discuss the fact that certain races demonstrate low IQ, and then let's look at what could be the cause of those. Even discussing that somehow or another is so inherently racist that it must be ignored, or it must be silenced, and that you must first concentrate on all the various injustices that have been done to those people who have this lower IQ.
Yeah.
All right. I don't think it's racist. I just think it's a very silly thing to say. You know, just to be honest here.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to stop that to say. Notice, okay, if you're right about something, do you need to constantly banter with someone who disagrees with you as far as they're just assuming we're racist and stuff. Like, why are you interacting with them then if that's your claim?
It's a personal decision. Maybe it's some sort of
but the point is, the argument's the statistics and their studies, right?
Yeah.
So why are we arguing about racism or whatever?
Well, I'm not arguing about racism.
And that's what these guys are saying. They're saying that, but then they're arguing back with they're like, oh, and it's just dumb for them to just say racist without looking at the stats and stuff. Like, well, don't listen to them and put the stats out. Go strictly with that. Stand on your argument of statistics and genetics and environment and IQ and all that shit.
But my beef with it all is the whole idea of like using statistics to say something like that. Whether it's what he said, it's an ideology.
Yeah, they're arguing ideology. That's what it seems like. That's what the argument seems like.
Like, you can't take...
Wait,
like,
I thought you were arguing about IQ.
In a way, in my opinion, it's like whatever I feel what's going on like internally, you can't put that on a statistic.
Nah. Well, no one else can. You could.
I said no one can. As in, I'm trying to exclude myself. Like, it's like you can't. You can't measure that with numbers, you know?
Unless your central point is the brain. You are your brain.
No.
As far as your cognitive ability and all that shit.
No.
Then you gotta break apart that argument. Somehow.
Working on it.
Yeah.
Well, let me just take a couple of minutes to close the various doors to hell that are now ajar based on what we've just said.
So you're on your holiday and you get all these notes.
Yeah, so we'll just take a little more context. So yeah, as you said, Charles Murray went to Middlebury College and was deplatformed. And he was not only deplatformed, so the usual deplatforming with the students turning their back to the speaker and shouting and not letting anything happen, but the professor who invited him, who was a liberal professor who wanted to essentially debate him.
She was attacked.
Yeah. When they're leaving the hall, they both get physically attacked by a crowd of students. Charles was not hurt. His host, this female professor, got a concussion and a neck injury that still persists, and this is now more than a year later. So like she was
she's a registered Democrat.
by this. No doubt, and they're driving out in an SUV someone pulls a stop sign out of the sidewalk, and it's still got the concrete ball on the end of it, and that this SUV gets smashed with this concrete laden stop sign.
It's like, no, it's
a fucking Hulk there or something.
It's like, I'm about to say that. It's like, first of all, I cannot believe people do that.
Yeah, it's babies that had their toys taken away.
Yeah.
Like, nah, if I was bigger, nah.
It's like, come on.
Yeah, it's just...
Like, we'll see what happens.
It's because they can't argue on these levels, so
They resort to little... They resort to the little temper tantrums. I see it a lot. I don't get my way, I'm going to stomp around. Stomp and slam. Something didn't go my way.
I'm gonna start like...
Let's assume things now.
Maybe think to just start like pretending you're uncoordinated and shit. Just so people are like, oh, fuck that guy up, here he comes.
Now, you purposely wear like a bow tie, pocket protector. Yes. Baggy. This is what you gotta pull the Manny Ramirez, okay? You're juicing. He's juicing his ass out, alright?
Yeah.
Look at him now. Dude. He's wearing tight clothes and shit. I saw him stretch his hamstrings. I was like, good God. But wear baggy clothing, right? Or whatever. And then, don't hurt me. Fucking do the peekaboo shit at a speed like unknown to anyone who's ever been in that room. They're like this. It's a narrow hallway. They can't escape. There's too many people trying to get out of the way. Oh, I'm gonna break your bones in your argument. No, it's...
Alright.
This is happening at one of the most liberal, privileged colleges on earth. It's nuts. So anyway, that was the thing.
I have some theories about that
put
stuff.
Murray on my radar after all these many years of my ignoring him, and I felt guilty because I had declined to be a part of at least one project because his name was attached, right? Because I just saw that this guy's radioactive. He's got some white supremacist agenda. I had believed the lies about him. And then I saw this and I thought, okay, well, maybe he's the canary in the coal mine, or certainly one of the canaries in the coal mine that I had ignored, where, as you say, certain topics are considered so politically fraught that you cannot discuss them no matter there has to be a firewall between your conversation about reality and these sorts of facts.
That's not true. You're just arguing with people that take that stance of, this is racist, this is blah, blah, blah.
Facts.
So, yeah. Argue with someone who's willing to look at your data.
Let's establish what a fact is really quick.
Nah.
Just really quick.
How I define it, or how? Because I have no idea what they mean.
How you define it.
I mean, I don't even think I use the word fact. I would just say truth. That's about it.
So you could say fact is an absolute. The way it's used.
I think they're using it in the sense of this is a
the way it's
a piece of the truth.
The way they're
there's one giant cake of truth.
I don't like doing it.
There's a little slice of it.
Like the truth is supposed to be an absolute.
Yeah.
I don't like taking a little piece of it. That's like it could be very disingenuous or half-hearted.
If you take a piece of it, it doesn't allow you to see the truth. The truth.
Yeah,
You're just guessing about the rest of it. Alright.
It's like I got a cupcake, I take the icing off. It ain't a cupcake now, is it?
Yeah.
No. It's a muffin.
I'd rather hear them say, I don't know, but I examined this and this is what I found. It's like it's not a difficult thing to do.
I just never liked when people say the word fact or true. It's like, is it?
Well, yeah, it depends if they're using social talk or...
I'm only saying this. What I meant to say was when they use those words and they're also blending in with statistics.
Yeah.
So those are probabilities, my friend. No.
Yeah. Yeah, those aren't
It's misleading.
Those aren't even a slice of the truth. They're good guesses at best.
It's an educated guess.
For them in their perspective, it's a guess.
Right.
Even though they could be saying something true, possibly. It's just, no, because they're using probabilities. Intention is important, just as important.
Well, yeah, but behind the whole.
As in, if they're like, I'm saying the truth, but they don't know if they're actually saying the truth.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
All right.
And So he's been, suffering from having transgressed that boundary, and so I had him on the podcast, being fairly agnostic about his actual social policy commitments and his political concerns, and just wanting to talk about the facts insofar as we touch them lightly. I mean, I had zero interest in intelligence as measured by IQ. It's an interesting subject, but I hadn't spent much time focused on that.
That was a nice caveat.
What does that mean?
Intelligence, when in the sense of IQ.
Oh.
So you might be saying there are different intelligences, different types of it.
I would hope he thinks that.
Either which way, when you go back to, let's just say the IQ test itself, and you just fall back on environment and genetics, it's like, no, you're still wrong. You're still off there. Because you're discounting the self. Because you don't think there is one, because you think it's just brain activity.
Well, we don't know if he thinks that, right? We.
Oh, he says that.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
Like he said,
self is an illusion.
Oh, man.
Once again, I wouldn't be able to put a study together to prove the opposite.
He did a study on it?
He
did a study about the self.
He's a neurologist. I'm sure he has.
Oh, God.
Otherwise, why say it? For him.
I get the...
A normal person, yeah, I can see them just saying stuff.
I can tell you why people would say things.
But for him, whose whole platform is strictly numbers, statistics based.
I heard he likes to dance around.
Just look at it. It's incontrovertible.
I heard somewhere he likes to dance around in like different areas, but he throws statistics out there.
Well, you can use numbers to fudge with things. You can even fudge with the numbers.
It's like in this area, which I don't necessarily understand enough to the point where I might be able to debate it with someone who may know. I'm going to use the statistics anyway in this argument I have right now to further prove my point.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, dude, that's kind of tricky, man.
Mm.
It's like Tricky Ricky, man.
Alright, let's go.
And I had truly zero interest in establishing differences between populations with respect to intelligence or anything else. But I see what's coming. I see the fact that the more we understand ourselves, genetically and environmentally, the more we will, if we go looking, or even if we're not looking, we will discover differences between groups. And the end game for us as a species is not to deny that those differences exist or could possibly exist. It's to deny that they have real political implication. I mean, the political framework we need is a commitment to equality across the board. And
see, that's where like my sensors start going off, and it seems like he's leaning towards that. Let's get rid of welfare, or things like that. Towards like their intelligence isn't really going to grow.
Right.
So
they're a lost cause. They're slowing everybody down.
It's to deny that they have real political implication. I mean, the political framework we need is a commitment to equality across the board, and a commitment to treating individuals as individuals. There's nobody who's the average of a population is meaningless with respect to you, and that will always be so. And
I want to go back.
And I had truly zero interest in establishing differences between populations with respect to intelligence or anything else. But I see what's coming. I see the fact that the more we understand ourselves, genetically and environmentally, the more we will, if we go looking, or even if we're not looking, we will discover differences between groups. And the end game for us as a species is not to deny that those differences exist or could possibly exist.
It's like a game show. And
yes and no to that part. To deny that there are differences between groups of people.
Isn't that such a kind of like a broad term? It's like, okay, but what do you mean by that?
Yeah, that difference doesn't really mean so much to me. I mean, in my mind, a 5'2" Latino dude could skill his way up to the NBA and athletically.
Yeah, very, very possible.
But, whatever. Let's hear the second part of that.
It's to deny that they have real political implication. I mean,
it's to deny that they have real political implication.
Implications, okay.
It's not to deny that there's differences in the races. It's to deny that that it has some sort of political implication. That's not...
I'm not sure what that means, to be honest. It sounds funny.
It sounds okay, but the problem would be, isn't that Charles Murray's argument about, reasons to get rid of social programs based off of his examination of IQ and genetics and shit?
That literally sounds like anybody that would be in need of such things that is within like a society that the poor side. Get rid of it and they'll be gone. That's what's bothering me, man. Maybe as he explains it further.
The political framework we need is a commitment to equality across the board and a commitment to treating individuals as individuals. There's nobody who's the average of a population is meaningless with respect to you, and that will always be so. And whatever and whatever diversity of talents there is statistically in various populations, we want societies that simply don't care politically about that. I mean, it's just not what it's. Our political tolerance of one another and support of one another is not predicated on denying individual differences or even statistical differences across groups. It can't be, because we know that there are people walking around like, Elon Musk, who gets out of bed every morning and does the work of like 4,000 people, right? And people who just are struggling to work at Starbucks and hold down a job. And our political system, I mean, we don't say one person is more valuable politically and socially than another, even though one person is capable of doing massive things that most other people aren't.
Yes and no again.
Like you said, it's like kind of like I might be saying this, but I'm not gonna say it.
He's
so weird, man. Does he do this a lot? You've heard more of.
Yeah.
That's weird.
But yeah, he'll say things without directly saying it. From what I've heard, or maybe he just expects someone to keep up with what he's saying.
Maybe
that's possible. Elon Musk equals, he just threw out a random number, but
49.
4,000.
My bad.
People, not men.
But
that type of difference, yes, it should be looked at and considered a difference, but there is such thing as different interest levels. Maybe obviously environment would come into that one. Definitely not fucking genetics.
I completely disagree with that theory.
Unless you're born with like half a brain.
That's some kind of like disease or something, maybe.
But I do consider that a factor.
Sure.
But I don't think of it as the brain is dictating how smart.
Mean half a brain.
The brain is dictating how smart or dumb someone is. What?
Half a brain.
Scarecrow?
The mind isn't here.
Ah.
The mind.
Yeah. Not the brain dictating how smart or dumb someone is. I think it's more of a transmuting type thing. As in order for me to throw 90 miles an hour, I need an arm to do it. That doesn't mean I can't conceptualize throwing 90 miles an hour or come up with the concepts of how to do it.
Sure.
It just means I can't do it because I don't have an arm to fucking do it. So brain defects.
With your arm, with an arm.
Brain defects just mean I don't have the means to export the content that's going on in here.
Almost done.
It's, when it comes time to write laws and create institutions that protect, that support human flourishing, we have to engineer times that raise all the boats. And so, there are legitimate debates about the social policies that will do that. And there are legitimate debates about facts. So we can debate scientific fact and the results of psychometric testing or behavioral genetics that are relevant to this question of intelligence. And we can have a good faith debate about the data.
See, that's the thing. You won't include anyone but people who already think the way you do, or think similar to the way you do.
We already know his. We already know his. We already know that he did say that he believes that. Listen, if I'm not one of these people, as far as whatever your field is, I can't go in there and debate with them. I'm not qualified.
Yeah, the physics guy.
It's like, fuck no, buddy, no, you can go in there.
Yeah.
Go.
That's the same as the birth defect thing, with if half your brain's missing, you can't communicate certain things, even though you can be very intelligent in here.
Sure.
Just like if I haven't studied physics and know all the terms of physics, I can't really output your language. I can't speak the same language.
Somebody denying you.
But I could understand it in here.
That's someone denying you. You can't. You're not allowed. You don't have the card. See? Physicist. Go back to your day job. You don't say that's here. Just go. Run along now.
Alright.
And then we can have a good faith debate about social policy that should follow from the data. But what's happening on the left now is on either of those tiers of conversation, there are just straight up allegations of racism that hit you the moment you touch certain facts.
So yeah, Sam Harris says stuff in a certain way that's I don't know what the term is, maybe dog whistling. Jeez. I don't think he's doing that exactly, but
dog whistling.
Huh?
It's just funny.
I don't know if he's doing that exactly. I don't think he is, honestly. But it's almost like he's making a point without making one. He's trying to say it in a nice way, that last part. He's like, we need to, develop social programs for everyone, every individual to be lifted up
in good faith.
Meanwhile, he's also saying, so it's like a puzzle. He puts a puzzle together. At the same time, he's saying stuff about genetics and intelligence.
Yeah.
So how do you help the individual? Okay, let's look at the individual. Now you have to go, is he black, white, Asian, Indian, Arab? So it seems like he's saying, help everyone, but really he's saying, help individuals based on their genetics, to some degree.
Guess what that leads to? Listen.
Genetics is a contributing factor. And
we look at your genetics, seeing your test score is a little bit low, and you're Filipino. We have a nice school for you. It's down the road. Have fun. They'll help you. People like you there.
I'll debate anyone who agrees with me.
That doesn't make sense.
That's what it sounds like he says. He says it in a different
language, more
intellectual way, but that's what it always sounds like. I'll debate anyone that already agrees with the data. It's like, what?
That's basically saying anybody in the sandbox that wants to debate. Like, no, you're already in the sandbox.
Either way, I'm done with this shit.